It says here that you started your criminal history when you were very young. Is that right? Back in '48, you went to Terre Haute, Indiana, boys' school because of a burglary of a grocery store. Then you went AWL from the school and was placed in Indiana State Reformatory.
Before you get into that, before you rush me off into that,
okay.
Every time I go to these committees, I'll wait 2 or 3 years for you. And I'll sit in a cell and stare at the wall for 2 or 3 years, just waiting for you people. And then when you get here, you can't even give me 5 minutes.
No, okay.
You're in such a rush,
right.
you know.
And what
you have to slow down with my mind and to see where your mind is. You know,
right.
like
you're right.
Let me say this: the courtroom, Charles Older would not have been sitting on that bench had I not went in the courtroom. So we're kind of like married in this thought together. Like we're together whether we want to be here together or not. You know, we're stuck in this madness. You know, I don't want this job. I'm not getting paid very much. You know,
no, that's true.
And you're certainly going to get paid if you take your time. So give me a time to finish what I was trying to do, will you, please?
Is it on the crime, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It's the very same thing that you read.
Okay.
You know, I kind of anticipated what you were going to say because you've been saying the same thing for 20 years.
All right.
This has grown so much that the people living in my life have moved in with uniforms and penitentiaries. They built whole penitentiaries in the fear that they've generated off of this case. So the public can feel safe against this monster. We're going to charge you $200 million to build another set of penitentiaries.
Mr. Manson.
So people living in my life, they don't care whether I broke the law or not. They'll make up a lot of things and sell a lot of books, 58 of them to be exact, and billions of dollars have been made, and it's okay if I have to spend my life in prison. Let me finish. Just to hold me, because I've shown you some strong strength, and I haven't surrendered to this by copying out to you or telling tales on someone else or playing weak. You've medicated me, you've burnt me, you've beat me, you've stabbed me, you've done everything you can do to me, and I'm still here, and you're still going to have to face the truth about this case sooner or later, if not here in the street.
All right, Mr. Manson, I'm going to give you an opportunity to give a closing statement, and you can read that or talk about that at that particular time. We're going to now talk about your prior criminality. I said before, and I think you stated that you were placed in a boys' school at an early age in 1948 for burglary. You tried to escape from there or run away, whatever it was, and you were placed in Indiana State Reformatory. Again, went AWOL in February of '51. You stole an automobile, went to Utah. You were arrested there, and you were convicted of the Dyer Act and sentenced to the National Training School for Boys in Washington, D.C. Your adult convictions, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 adult convictions beginning in 1955 and ending in 1969. They consisted of the Dyer Act. You were sentenced to 3 years in federal prison for that. Attempted escape, 5 years probation. Forgery and mail theft, 10 years suspended. Los Angeles probation violation, 10 years federal prison. McNeil Island, Washington. South Ukiah, interfering with an officer, 3 years probation. And in Ventura, reproducing or possession of a driver's license. And in Los Angeles was the incident offense of murders. Now, you said you also spent time in Mexico in a prison?
Yeah, I was in Mexico for
in prison down there?
Mexico City prison, yeah, immigration prison.
What was that? Oh, what was that for?
I had been accused of killing some French people and a couple of dudes in Acapulco.
And how long were you in prison down there?
I was there a couple of different times.
A couple of times? I have here on your personal factors, Mr. Manson, that you were born in 1934 in Cincinnati, Ohio. Your mother was Kathleen Maddox, who never, and you never saw your natural father.
That's not true.
It's not true?
No, my father's name was William Manson.
William?
Yes.
And did you live with him for a while?
No, it's one of those divorce trips where you see a guy walk by and he's your father, and you really don't. I remember his boots, and I remember when he went to the war. I remember when his uniform, but I don't remember what he really looked like.
Your mother was arrested shortly after the birth and sentenced to prison for assault and robbery.
Yeah.
And you lived with your maternal grandparents and your aunt in West Virginia. You don't have a southern accent, do you?
When I need it.
Yeah, when you need it. You later resided foster homes until you were made a ward of the court in '47. The rest of the juvenile life was spent in various reformatories, and boys' schools in Pennsylvania and Indiana. You dropped out of school at the age of 9 in the 3rd grade. You married Rosalie Willis in 1954. The marriage ended in divorce in 1956. You have one son, Charles Jr., which resulted from this marriage, but you have not seen your son since the divorce. Is that correct, Mr. Manson?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. It says there no military service. You used LSD extensively, mescaline, amphetamines, and barbiturates, but no alcohol. Is that correct?
No.
Well, enlighten me.
I've taken a few tabs of acid. I smoke grass. I smoke a little hash. I don't mess with drugs per se. I don't do anything that's self-destructive. I like the cactus buds. They're spiritual experience. And
Peyote?
the mushrooms are okay.
Yeah.
I drink Scotch whiskey. I like Scotch whiskey. I drink beer occasionally. I'm not much of a wine drinker, but now and then some wine with the meals, all right?
Do you get any of that in here?
No.
All right, we're going to, remember I said there were 3 areas of the hearing. The second area is your post-conviction factors. We may come back to this. I told you one area we have questions.
Do I get to say anything about that?
Oh yeah, you're going to in just a little bit. We're going to go to your post-conviction factors and your psychiatric evaluation. Now that's everything that's happened to you since your last hearing, and also the evaluation, and Deputy Commissioner Brown will handle that on my far right.
Thank you, Mr. Conley.
You're welcome.
Do I get a minute here in between there?
What do you want a minute?
To respond to just what that record that you laid out there?
We'll go back to that.
There's no way my mind can handle that.
All right.
In other words, I don't have the papers you have, and I can't refer to what you're referring
Yes,
to.
you may respond to this right now. If you
Okay,
wish.
okay.
All right, go ahead.
What that whole first 11 years being locked up in was trying to get away. You got a juvenile, you lock him up in juvenile hall, he don't know anything. He's got no parents. He's got nobody telling him the truth. Everybody's lying to him. So the only thing he can do is run away. So that's all I did. I ran away. And every time I ran away, they just got me and put me in a harder place to get away. So every time I would run away, they would take me and put me in a more difficult place to run away until I got to the federal prison system. I ran through Indiana, and I ran through Illinois, and I ran through Ohio. And then when they put me in Washington, D.C., Dr. Hartman put me in Virginia, Natural Bridge Camp with the moon, and that was in 1951. Then I went to Petersburg, Camp Petersburg, Virginia, where they got the military academy. And then I went to Pennsylvania, and then I went to Ohio. And in 1954, I got out. And I really didn't know what I was doing. I was still 9 years old in 3rd grade in my mind. I couldn't very well know what was going on. You know, I never had any help from anyone. No one ever done anything for me. So what I did was I married the first girl I came to and stole the car and came to California because that's where she wanted to come. And I just followed her around like a blind guy because I really didn't know California was, I didn't know what California was. I'm a dumb hillbilly. I thought the pigeons were seagulls and the seagulls were pigeons. I didn't know the difference, So when I got to California, it was all about fighting in the county jail. I wasn't out there on the street, but maybe 2 or 3 weeks before they had me in the jail back in Terminal Island. So I went through the lieutenant there, and they brought the guys, the lieutenants, and the men that were in the uniforms from the dentist office and all the Navy and the doctors from Dr. Hartman. They brought them from back east. They brought them to Terminal Island with a lot of the old-time gangsters that were being released as going to Needles, California, and out in the deserts and doing different things in the mafia world, in that old underworld where they made all the moonshine and stuff. So I learned all the things they learned. So I'm picking up all these things from all these older men. So they're laying out to me what's right and what's wrong. And I don't really know what's right and what's wrong because people that say what's right and wrong, they're not doing what they say. They're doing something different than what they say, So I had to find all this out for myself. So then when you keep calling me a criminal and keep calling me a bad guy, then I got to be all the things that you think in your mind that I am, that's not really what I am. You got me being a bastard. You got me being a dope fiend. You got me being, everything's bad. I'm only 5 foot tall. I was 5'7", then I went to 5'6". Now I'm down to 5'2". I figure about another 20 years I'll be about 4 feet tall. Because everybody's just constantly pushing it over on me like they got permission to get away with doing anything they want to do to me because I don't have no parents, because I don't have no money, because I don't have no education. You got to have education or some parents or you're not smart. You got to be stupid if you don't read and write. You know, you got to be all the things that are bad if you ain't got nobody to protect you, because you find out in that cell the only person that loves you is Jesus Christ. And that rebirth movement in 1967 was mine. Now you can tell Carter and all them other people that's been stealing my life every day and living in my reality, you know, that they could read Corinthians 13, chapter verse, you know, and that'll handle that part of it.
All right.
That's the end of what I got
All
to say
right,
there.
you did a good job there. We're going to go to the second.